the fact that gradually over the period of you obtaining more knowledge on a certain subject, you become more confident. Yes, Deirdre?
Hallo meneer. Ek het net geweet, ek is dalk bietjie deur mekaar, maar meneer, ons 'n taak is opgedeel in soos A, B, C.
Yes.
Maar volgende week moet deel A ingegee of word alles saam ingegee?
Okay, that's a valid question. I think I had an email that I responded to last night as well, Deirdre. If you can remember from the first session, I think you were probably, Deirdre, you might have still been in Namibia by the time that and missed that first session. I'm not sure, but it was addressed on the assignment itself. It says submission date for A and submission date for part B. Can you remember that? Then we also said that there was only going to be one submission, right?
Yeah.
If you look at your module schedule on Canvas, that page, it gives you all 16 weeks. It will indicate to you that that there's only a submission date. I've removed the submission date for A and for B. I also suggested for the students to use those dates that was originally set for separate submissions to as a guideline to complete certain sections of the works. You don't leave everything for the last week. Okay, so you can still complete it in little sections and parts, because the parts were set according to where we would have progressed with the work. Okay, but there's only going to be one submission.
Wat die 3de Junie is.
Dis die 3de Junie, ja.
Okay.
That's also related to the submission of multiple documents when you submit through Turnitin on Canvas. Okay. It sometimes struggles if you have to submit more than one. And once you've, and because we set separate dates, I said to you guys at the beginning as well, if we set separate dates and you submit the one, then basically it almost shows on the system that task is closed. And then you have problems with submitting your second part. And that's why we decided, let's stick to one submission date, which is the final one, 3rd of June. Okay.
So dis beter om net alles die 3de Junie te submit en nie so stuk vir stukkie.
100% correct, Deirdre.
Okay, dankie meneer.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, and I think in conclusion, in summary from last week, let's open and see if there's any. That's going to just even close the screen a bit. No, let's not go that way. I'll just respond to them as they raise their hands. We concluded that there's the environment in which you operate does impact on you and a great deal. And some of it you can control. I can remember last night, my son came to me as well. He's writing business studies, grade 11. Can you remember that? Tons of work, and then you end up, they ask you the silliest questions. And there's never enough time. Okay, fortunately were you the first guys who wrote 2 papers in matric, or is this year's matric? They're gonna get 2 separate papers. Makes a lot of sense. Let's get Justine admitted. So yes, I think last night he came to me as well as that. Just quickly, a few things I want to ask you because I'm writing business studies today. Okay, there we go. And lo and behold, what did we do? External environment, pestle, political, socioeconomical, all those factors. We know that we can't control it, but it impacts on our business. That's a summary from last week. And that we focus on the things that we can. The things that we can focus on and can control, our strategies, our resources, our skills, our capabilities, setting our mission and our vision and our goals for the business. Those are things that we determine and we set. And that's in our internal environment. And then today's chapter deals with specifically one of those components that we cannot control, but we can at least to a certain extent influence them through the marketing methods that we send out. And also we need to be able to, and we have access to a certain extent to what their behavior is, and therefore that will help us to strategize our and plan how we are going to communicate with the market. Okay, that's the market environment. One of the components of the marketing and of the market environment is the consumer. Okay, go right back to chapter 1. We said what's most important Who do we always put on a pedestal? The consumer. Because the consumer and his needs or her needs determines all business activities that follow. Okay, and that's the reason why, even in a business marketing module, it's important that we spend time on trying to understand how the consumer, what motivates the consumer, and why they make decisions to buy certain products and not others, and to support certain brands and not others. Okay, it's not an exact science, and we definitely haven't cracked it yet. The consumer is too ever-changing, and technology changes, and their needs change. We'll see as we progress through the chapter exactly. I'm not going to do the outline of the chapter, the learning outcomes. Learning outcomes, basically, I have summarized with my previous statement. Okay, so let's go straight into it, and we can conclude that basically your consumer behavior are all these activities that consumers do before and during purchasing a product, and then also what they do with the product. They consume it, they're happy, they return, and they buy again. The backbone of this particular chapter that keeps this chapter upright, if I can do that analogy with what the spine does for the human body, are the 5 steps that consumers consciously or subconsciously go through before they make a decision to buy a product or not to buy a product. Right, let's delve straight into, and what we see at the bottom there, the consumer model is much better shown in the next slide, which is a diagram that you'll find in your books of figure 3.1. And it's quite simple and self-explanatory how this model works. There's the consumer. This is what happens when a consumer goes through the process of making a decision to buy a product or not. The process itself, in the center, there will be 5 steps. We'll address each of them from the next slide onwards. The influences could be individual factors, your personality, your lifestyle, your values, how you learn formally, informally, maybe technically through peer groups or through your teachers or your lecturers. Social factors like your culture, languages, religion. These are all things that impact on the decision that you take. People that you maybe, whose opinion maybe you value a great deal, and before you make a final decision, you just go to that friend of your, or it may be a family member, and you ask, what do you think? I mean, I'm not 100% sure if I'm making the right decision or not. Okay, so we often use those references. Could be, and there are more than 16 different reference groups, formally, informally, groups that we aspire to belong to. If you're going to ask somebody, for instance, if I can use this example, if you're going to ask, you have a problem with your assignment, okay? Not the questions itself, but how, and not the logistics, because that I explain to you when I do the overview, okay? And you watch the video that I've made on it as well, so you understand that. But you are battling, you're busy answering that question, you're not 100% sure. It's 11 o'clock at night. What are you going to do? Are you going to send me an email? No, because you want to actually continue to complete that work at that point. And you know that I will only respond tomorrow morning, right? But you will phone a friend. You will ask somebody. Usually, if the class is on a WhatsApp group, you'll ask somebody on the group, because they are probably also either have done that already, maybe have battled with that same question, and they can advise you. Okay, so that's somebody whose opinion you trust. If you, at that same time, middle of the night, because we know as students you constantly graze, you're almost always hungry and thirsty. Now you actually have that late night fetish for something specific. Okay, you're not going to phone a friend. you're going to go to the shop and buy it. Okay, so it's a different circumstance, it's a different transaction, and therefore you don't need any referrals. You just need to listen to what your body wants at that particular point. And then the situation itself is also going to impact on the decision. Is it an emergency? Do I need it or do I want it? Because there's a difference. Remember, I think we did it in the first chapter. What is a need? What's a need? What's the difference between a need and a want? Yes. You cannot live without the need. Yes, that you have to have it. Okay, and I know some women feel like that about a certain dress or a certain pair of shoes, whatever. You just have to have it. I mean, it's 50%. It's marked down 50%. Yes, it means it's probably been overpriced 200% anyway. No, I'm joking. Some people have particular preferences that relate to that, but in a case like that, it would be a desire, something we want to have, not something we need to have. Okay, that's the main difference. Therefore, your circumstances can determine that as well. Do I really need it now? I've got a headache, but I do not have any Comprels in my medicine cabinet or any kind of painkiller. For that matter, I need to go to the shop, to the pharmacy, whatever is available. Dis-Chem is probably open. Well, there are some shops that that's open 24 hours. And you want to get rid of your problem. You can't wait till tomorrow because you will have a bad night's sleep if you go to bed with a headache. You're probably going on a battle to sleep. So you need to, that's an emergency. You need to resolve that issue now. Okay, that's a circumstance that you find yourself in that will determine how you make your decisions. Okay, let's go to the steps. They're quite simple. Can I use the example just to explain the steps to you? It's quite simple. You identify there's a problem and there's a need. Okay, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. Okay, I've got a headache, whatever. That's my problem. I've identified I have a problem. That's the problem. We need to fix that problem. So what's the next thing we do? We start gathering information about the options and the possibilities that's available. Okay, then we start evaluating all those or the information that we've accumulated. We have set ourselves some criteria that we are going to evaluate it against, and every individual is different. Your criteria is going to be different. If you're buying a house, budget, can you afford it? What's the specific needs of the house? It must be 3-bedroom, it must have a double garage, it must have 2 bathrooms. Those are criteria that you set yourself in that particular buying situation, right? And then once you've evaluated all that information that you've gathered in step number 2 against the criteria that you've set for yourself, you will decide to either buy it or not. Can I afford to buy this house or this car? Yes or no? If it's yes, then you continue to step number 4. You go out and you buy the house or you buy the car. If you decide, sorry, I can't afford it, that's where the whole buying process for that transaction stops. You're not going to continue to the next one because you've decided not to buy it because your budget doesn't allow it. If you have gone to step 4 and you've purchased something, now we go to step 5, which would be, right, have I made the right decision? Am I happy? Okay, I was hungry. I went to buy a KFC. What do you buy at KFC? What's popular at KFC? I don't know. Chili chicken wrap? Yeah, okay. Let's say that's what we go out and buy. You eat it? You know what? I knew I should have taken the box meal rather, because I'm still hungry. That would mean that after you've done your purchase, when you're doing your post-purchase evaluation, you would not feel satisfied, completely satisfied, and therefore you'll start the process again. Maybe I need to buy something else as well to resolve my problem, because the problem is still there. I'm still not 100%. I'm still hungry. Okay, it's simple, people. Let's make it more let's make it more appropriate to your current situation. This time last year, you were preparing for what? Absolutely nothing. because we were still in hard lockdown, weren't we? Yes, I think we were. And you think, oh my goodness, damn, are we going to have a matric dance? I'm not sure. When are we going to play rugby again? Will we ever go back to school this year? How's it going to affect my exams? Thankfully, we've actually survived that one too. A new year. But, and this journey has started for some of you at a different stage. Let's use your decision to end up where you currently are as a student at Stadio Multi-University in digital marketing. Right, this is where we are right now. Where did your process start? Step one. You probably spoke to, and you've probably been told, and maybe you knew it yourself. You know what? Just a matric is not going to cut it. I need more. I need a post-matric qualification. I need to have at least a certificate, preferably a degree, or at least a 3-year qualification. Am I right? That's why you're here. That was the problem that you have identified. You were the fortunate ones, obviously, you qualified to do it. Okay, if you didn't get the exemption, it meant that you probably limited your choices. That's not the problem, the case with this particular group, because you're on a 3-year program. Okay, those students who didn't meet the minimum criteria are probably doing a certificate course now, and they can articulate to a degree course at the end of this year. Okay, so their 3-year qualification becomes a 4-year journey, but the end result's exactly the same. So that was the problem. The problem was I need education beyond grade 12. Does grade 12 prepare you to become an engineer? Can you become a medical doctor with a grade 12? Or an airline pilot? Nope. What does grade 12 and your matric certificate, what have that taught you over 12 years? No. How to read, how to write, how to learn, how to forget, how to remember. That's all it taught you. It didn't prepare you for a specific career. You had different interests, and the majority of you in this group have similar interests, and you're almost a market segment in yourself, because you have similar interests, and that would be this field of study that you've chosen. How did you go about? To decide? Step number 2. What were your options that you were considering? Or did everybody say, you know what? The minute you got, maybe it was in grade 8, the minute there was an exhibition at the school and there were all different universities and colleges represented, and you knew, immediately you saw, that's where I want to go. Nobody does that. Okay? It doesn't happen like that. But you maybe, like most students, took a couple of brochures, dumped it somewhere, got new brochures the next year, and now got to grade 11. Oh, my goodness, geez. Well, I have to register for a course. I have to actually start the application process. Maybe at that point, after you've chosen your subjects at the end of grade 9, you probably have a better idea of where you're going, and you hopefully have chosen your subjects accordingly. Which other options did you consider? Did you? Because none of you just considered study, I'm pretty sure of that. Okay? Yes?
At one point, I was going to join the British Army somewhere in grade 11.
Because of the vacancy that Harry created? Oh, just because, no, I'm joking.
No, I'm happy there.
That makes sense, yes. And why didn't you pursue that? Because it's something that you're still considering in future.
Not really. I fell in love with sales and decided to pursue a career in that one.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Who considered another university? Who considered, let me rather rephrase, another tertiary institution, so we don't limit ourselves just to universities? Yep. Local? Oh yes, yes. So it also became a. What criteria did you use? Part of step number 3. What criteria did you use to choose between the options available? No, actually, when you had the brochure, there's probably a breakdown of the what you'll do in the subjects that's covered in year 1, year 2, year 3.
So like how you'll benefit from it and like why I chose cardio because I do work integrated learning. So you're not just entering the workforce specifically, you're entering the work experience.
My son's second year now in IT, and he really enjoys it. That workplace, he's that. Do I have to go to class today? Can't I really go back? Can I go back to the company that he worked? And that's quite nice. So, and it progressively increases. We are more independent towards your third year with that regard. Yes. What were your criteria?
I honestly didn't choose a university. I could have gone, but
Yes.
I was not in the mood for, in the middle of my semesters, turning up there with riots and not being able to study further.
Okay. It looks as if you've done a lot of research on what the dynamics are on all different campuses. For budget, obviously, compared to other institutions, price would definitely become an issue. Maybe location. My youngest son is in grade 11 now, and he unfortunately how he did in his business exam today is probably not going to impact on his choices because he wants to go into journalism. So he's not really sure if it's media writing or if it's broadcasting or whatever. And the two that always come up, 1 and 2, when you are considering an option like that is Grahamstown and UCT. UCT have won the battle thus far, and purely because he says, Dad, you know what? I actually quite like it in the Cape. And I can actually stay at home and I can drive into class every day and stuff like that. So again, it became a financial consideration because if it was Grahamstown, then he would probably have only been limited for 3 years of study because that's what my budget allows. But that budget would be blown as a result of the fact that I have to find accommodation and pay for accommodation there. So very often your location, you end up with the closest options. Who have you considered, apart from the UK, who considered other options in South Africa? Maybe UJ or Tux, or was it really not ever an issue? You wanted to stay local. You've got sufficient confidence in the options available, state universities and private universities and institutions in Western Cape to say, you know what, we don't really have to move. Okay, so location is definitely one of the criteria that was used as well. Okay. What was the final reason? The lady at the back gave her final criteria. What swayed her to complete in the form, and maybe to hand it in so you can maybe start the process of applying for a student loan, whatever. I mean, I know that I was never going to be able to study after school if it wasn't for the student loan. And at some point, very few people actually have the cash to right there. There's the 3 years ahead. It happened to me once. It happened to me once when I was in Namibia and I was doing some recruiting, and we spoke to a couple of grade 12 students, and I think it was in Keetmanshoop. Not much happening there, but obviously there's a lot of farmers. And then we were at the school for 2 days. The first day we went through all the different grades, and schools from outside of Keetmans traveled in, so they attended the session. And then the next day, after the students have obviously, the learners have gone through and they've collected information, parents were allowed as well. And early in the morning, I think I even haven't my morning coffee yet. We were sort of just starting the whole exhibition, day 2 of the exhibition. This farmer walks in straight to he says, my daughter was here yesterday and this is the brochure that she gave me. She's quite interested and I want to know a bit more. Okay, so I told him everything. And he says, you know what? Yes, this seems like the right place. I have to quickly go back. There's an emergency on the farm, but I'll be back later this afternoon and we can continue the conversation. Just after lunch, he came back with a suitcase full of banknotes, money. He says, well, there's the fees for the next year covered. I said, well, thank you very much, sir. I'm not one to look a gifted horse in the mouth, but how do you think I'm going to get through customs with this? I'm South African. I didn't declare the money when I got in. So, I mean, how did I? So it's a nice gesture. Thank you much. I appreciate this, but we can't do it in this way. But the long and the short of that is that for him, the criteria was the fact that somebody was there that could answer the questions, because you cannot travel to Cape Town all the time just to gather more information, and you don't do these kind of decisions online all the time. The fact that there was somebody that you could personally see and ask, and that you could actually almost say the face of the business kind of thing, that swayed his decision. Anybody else? What made you finally decide on Stadio? What was that little thing that tipped you to say, yes, I'm going to complete, today I'm going to complete this form, be it online or not? What was your, just share with me, because I mean, this is part of the exercise of going through the 5 steps. Yes.
I got referred by someone else.
All right, that's always good.
Yeah, I was going to say now, I asked quite a few people, like, that I knew were studying marketing and stuff, where they went or whatever, and then quite a couple of people who are currently in Stadio said they stopped from classes today, the AAA, said they're enjoying it a lot more, getting better marks, doing better, so it's really good.
The students online up in Centurion, what persuaded you? Because one student actually said to me, the fact that there were contact sessions, contact classes, and not just online, because after 2012, I think the grade 12s just had enough of online. Okay, they wanted some interaction. So you guys are online all the time. You do not have contact sessions in Centurion. What persuaded you? That probably wasn't one of them, or was it one of them? And now you say, oh my goodness. Anybody? Deirdre, why are you back?
Sir?
Yes.
For me, it was mainly the fact that the online sessions.
Okay. So are you doing your sessions, your online sessions from home or Teng, or are you actually on campus in Centurion?
Oh no, I'm home.
Okay. But the option is the option is there for you guys to actually go to campus as well.
Yes, if you like to, you can go to campus.
For those students who you probably met, Mr. Tatenda Chabanda during the orientation, right? He's the program coordinator for this program. And for those in Centurion, if you want to meet him personally, he's going to be on campus in Centurion next week, Thursday and Friday. Okay. It's always nice to have some form of contact, but yeah, he will be on campus next Thursday and Friday for you if you want to maybe pop in and say hi or whatever. He actually said I can share this with you because it would be nice to meet students that you just are in contact with online most of the time, all the time almost. Right, so we've got through the 5. Oh no, we haven't got through five steps yet. You've decided to come to Stadio, correct? Regardless of what your motivation was and what your final criteria was that swayed the transaction, and now you're here. You started paying, or your parents have started paying already, and based on 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks, can we say that when we do our post-purchase evaluation, that you are happy? The vote's not out yet. Not yet. Just repeat that, please.
Het meneer iets gevra vir my?
Wat jy gaan koffie maak?
Nee, ek het gehoor meneer sê my naam en toe praat die ander en so ek so kyk.
Ja, ek het maar net gevra as deel van die oefening Deidre, if what was your motivation for being back here? I know that I think last year you expressed already that one of the reasons were that you wanted to articulate to the degree course, and that actually happened then, eh? Was that your main motivation, the fact that there was a degree option available for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Let's get Sheldon. Right. So, is the vote out yet? Yay or nay? Nah, we're still there too early. Or are you waiting for your first test? If you get bad marks, it's a bad college. If you get good marks, these guys are good. By the way, while we're on that subject, next week, class test. Okay. I'll just remind you with an announcement. It's on chapter 1 and 2. So chapter 1 and 2. Online. It will be available the whole day. And it won't be on a day that you have class on this subject. Okay, so it won't be next Thursday or Friday. I think it's the 29th. It's 29th next Thursday. Yeah. Okay, so it will be on a day that you actually have class. You do not have campus contact next week, so you'll be online for this session anyway. It will be available the whole day. From 12 o'clock the previous evening, the whole 24 hours of the 29th. Okay, I think it's 45 minutes, 45 marks, 30 minutes, something like that. But it's straightforward. I'm just trying to reinforce. It's revision, people. It forces you to go to your manuals and go to your slides again, and you still have access to your books and everything because you're doing it online. But it's a sort of a right. Let's work towards that small little goal, and then we work to the next goal, and then we work to the next goal, and then by the time you have to prepare for your term test, it's probably going to be first or second week in May, 3 weeks from now. Then going through the work would actually not be the first time. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why we do it that way. Right, so the vote's not out yet if you're totally satisfied. So you're probably at this stage. Deidre, you have a question? Or is your hand still raised?
Ja, meneer, ek wil geweet, ons wat nou soos die degree doen, ons het soos tweedejaars vakke ook. Maar volgende week skryf ons soos formal test soos Woensdag en Vrydag. Maar soos het ons aan klas soos want ek weet soos volgende Vrydag het ons van 11 tot 1 'n toets, so dan gaan ek basies marketing mis.
Deidre, to answer that question is a relevant question. I know there are some, and you're not the only student in that position, and on different modules that I teach, I have students from different years, first, second, and third years on the same, in the same classroom for the same subject, but for different courses. There are some students who do write formal tests, and in the past, there were no contact sessions and there were no classes during a term test period, and also not during the summative exams. The summative exams in June, there's a specific time set aside. The work would have been completed, the revision would have been completed, you would have been prepared for the exam. There's no classes, there's no interruptions, and you can focus purely on writing the final exams for all the modules, the semester modules. With the tests, however, the program continues. So if you have another session, if you have a test scheduled in that time, you will not be marked absent from next week's class. You will just be, you will have an excuse for your absence, but you focus on your test. That comes first, because these sessions are recorded and the material in the form of the slides are on Canvas already as well. Okay, but there will be, formally there is class, yes. It obviously, if it's an online session and not a campus contact session, it's the students' prerogative to attend or not. You're adults, so nobody's going to force you to attend the session. Another question, yes, please.
So this final semester test, is that on campus or?
Ironically, we chatted in the staff room before classes this morning about that. because it came up in the meeting yesterday afternoon. At the moment, it's going to. At the moment, it's a pleasure. At the moment, we are going to continue with not venue based but online exams. Okay. At the moment, it's all very flexible and very much in the hands of decisions that's taken by the COVID committee as to the restrictions. Yes.
So what's the procedure for online examination, or is it the same as the test?
It's going to be the same as the test. Usually, sometimes when a particular subject requires the size of the group, or the nature of the particular module, for instance, like my son's doing IT, you can't do his practical exam at home. You can write his theory exams online, but he comes to campus for his prac exams because they sit in the computer room. They have to install a certain program, so that takes about 10 minutes. But then you have to sit for the installation to happen, and that's why the exam is probably a 3-hour paper. The nature of the particular qualification, photography, for instance, and arts and design, these kind of subjects and courses, the nature is different. For this particular module and the majority of what you do on this course in digital marketing, everything can be done online. Okay. So it will continue in that fashion up to we hear that it's different. Okay. It will be available the whole entire day on the day that the exam is set or the test is set. Okay. So for now, with the test, we continue with the week's normal program. If you write on a particular day, like the example of your class test next week, you could do the class test before you come to class, or you can do the class test anytime during the rest of the afternoon or in the evening. You can, it's as long as it's done before 12 o'clock. Okay. And the exam is exactly the same. The only thing that you have to consider, obviously, when you do online exam is your time management. Once the clock starts, once you've started the test, the clock runs. Okay. If it's a 3-hour paper, you've got 3 hours to complete it. If you pause it in between because you need to go to make a cup of coffee or whatever, it's your time. It's your time. So it's not going. And then obviously make sure that you don't leave it till 10 o'clock if it's a 3-hour paper, because then you can only have 2 hours to complete it, because it will just not be available after 12 o'clock. Okay. So in the past, we've tried both ways. Last year, we had our June exams were specific times. You can only do the test between 8 and 11 or between 2 and 5 in the afternoon. That became challenging because students at home have different access to online facilities. Maybe sometimes they even share facilities. Their data packages is of such a nature that, and the internet speed, and so there's a lot of things that impacted, and that's why we decided, why the management decided at the end of last year. Last year in the November exams, it was open the whole day. The test exactly the same now, and the exams will be the same too. Okay. Some people, a student the other evening started, submitted the exam at 2:15 in the morning. That was a 2-hour paper, so it meant that she had to start at 12:15, literally 10 minutes after the test opened. Maybe she's just not a morning person. Maybe that was the only time that she had access to the facilities to do it. But yes, you can do it anytime in a 24-hour window that we allow you. Right. What else can we tell you about decision-making process? Let's go through the slides on each of the steps. I'm just going to summarize what we have done in the form of the example that we did with you studying or making a decision to study. The first step basically is that you realize, and we can use, let's do it at the hand of another example, for instance. Pick an example. What do you want to buy? And let's take that through the 5 steps. Anybody? What are we buying? Car, house, new computer. What are we buying? Shoes. Okay. We can buy shoes. Who's buying shoes? Are we buying shoes? What shoes are we buying? Why do we need shoes? Remember? Need, problem. Something we need, not something we want. All right. Okay. Why do you need the shoes? I know, but I mean, don't you have shoes? Your shoes, well, now we have a problem. Yes. This is my shoes. I don't have shoes to wear because they got stolen at the gym. Maybe I've walked them. There's absolute no sole left, and my feet sticking out. Regardless of what your motivation is, but that poses a problem. Or maybe because we've had a nice summer, you only had your pluckies worn the whole time, and now it turns to winter, and you think, oh, this morning it's quite chilly. Maybe I need to buy myself some shoes that at least can cover my feet for the next 3 months. You get the picture. Okay, that's some reasons why we can buy shoes. Why we need to buy shoes. Need to buy shoes, not want to buy shoes. Because no, that's going to be sexist if I say that. I cannot. Any of us, not just the women in the class. You want shoes. Oh, of course you needed them. Yeah, my wife also finds a way to justify their decision, yes. Let's get Justine back. We're buying shoes. Okay, so we've decided to buy shoes because we need shoes. Our shoots are done. Please mute yourself if we don't want to hear your private conversations and how you're enjoying yourself somewhere off campus. Right, where do we start? Where do we start? What shoes do you want? Yeah? Okay. What shoes do we want?
Running shoes.
Running shoes. Because you can train in them, but you can also wear them in the class. Okay, that's sensible. That's sensible, especially at the price that they're going nowadays. Why? And sort of not entirely off the subject. Why are men's shoes compared to women's shoes so expensive? Or is it our perception? Because that's something else that we'll deal with later in class as to that impacts on our buying decision. You think so?
Women's shoes get super expensive.
Oh, yes, you can. Oh, you get extravagant shoes, yes. But it's almost as if, I'm not talking about trainers. I mean, Nike's prices are the same for male and female, regardless of what, if it's a particular range, the price is the same. Yes. That's why I don't have a suit. Yeah. Yep. That's very true. All the accessories and colors that clash. I can't wear those shoes with my other jeans. You need to have other shoes to go with their jeans. Yeah. And I suppose men slightly different. We go, oh, well, that can go with at least 3 of my outfits. Huh? Except those formal shoes. Am I right? We are like that, right? Okay. Nice pair of All-Stars, and that can probably go a long way with a lot of things. And nowadays I see, I mean, it's very much in fashion to wear those with even with formal dresses, formal wear. Anyway, so we now know we need shoes because otherwise we're going to come to class bare feet and they're going to chase you away at the front because it's not COVID protocol. Okay. I don't know why anyone who wants to go barefoot to a shopping mall or anywhere else anyway. I mean, that's what you do when you go to the beach. I can also understand why people don't understand why people go to the beach with shoes. And then they complain about the sand in their shoes. You're not supposed to wear shoes at the beach. That's why, hello. Anyway, can you see how difficult it is to understand the consumer? Good luck. Good luck in your careers with that one. No, it's always going to be challenging, but it's very interesting. And once you've sort of cracked some of the codes, it becomes, you can almost know what that person is going to do. One of my son's friends, he didn't study after school. He went straight to start working because his dad's got a very high position at the Fashini Group. So he started in retail, and I spoke to him on the weekend again when the boy's bride, and he said to me, he now almost with 100% accuracy, when somebody walks into the store, you could tell just by looking at them, they're more likely going to go that way, and that's what they're going to buy. I think you pick it up if you, obviously, I mean, it was a very slow period initially after COVID, so they had a lot of time to these kind of exercises, but that's what you actually have to do, especially when you're in retail, to pick up on those subtleties as to why people buy what. Anyway, we are still buying shoes. And where are we going to start our process? We now know why, and we now know what. What are our options available? One day only? Online. Bargains. You've never gone there. I shouldn't have told you that now. She's going to go online tonight. One day only. They have specials for a day if you order it on that day, and it's everything. That's why my wife bought those shoes last week. Would you start online, or is these one of these things that you actually go to a shop and say, you know what, let me stand in front of oh my goodness, I didn't realize there's so many to choose from. And you're lying to yourself because you knew, you just wanted to go and experience it. That's part of the purchase, right? But who would start that search online when you're buying shoes? Not really anybody. You would. Okay, that's fine. I think a lot of people do. They just don't admit it. You start shopping online as well?
I think it's difficult to shop online. Everybody shop has like different shoe sizes.
Yeah.
It could be like the European
or the UK, US.
Same thing. I mean, the US and the UK.
If you go online to start the process of gathering information on what's available, would you limit your search just to see what's available at the different places, without making to continue and purchasing online? Just rather to browse and see what's available. So when you go to the shop, then you know what they have available. And maybe if they don't have what you've seen, then you would not go to that shop, right?
Oh, so for me, it depends on what type of shoe I'm getting.
Right.
A running shoe.
Your running shoe, yes.
Training, then I need to go into the shop and actually see the shoe and feel it before I can make a decision on it.
Do you know if you're a supernator or a pronator when you're running?
Supernator.
Okay, so that's already a criteria that you would use, because you're not going to buy something that's not going to support your frame, okay, or your running style, or your dynamics. Okay, so we are clear. Some of us will start there, but some of us said, you know what, this is more sort of an emergency purchase. Okay, I need these shoes rather urgently, so I'm not going to waste time going online and I'm going to the shops, right? I'm going to go straight to the shops. What's the criteria that we use there? What's the most important criteria? Running shoes, definitely. I mean, it's not something, it has to be supportive for your running style. Budget comes in? Or is there no compromise when it comes to comfort?
So I suppose there's a level where you pay for the quality you get.
Yeah, of course.
Buy a cheap shoe, it's not going to...
You're going to buy shoes every month. Yeah. Okay, so the type of shoe, important in the decision-making process. Budget, definitely. We have a ceiling that we are not prepared to go beyond. Okay. Right. When we go through our process of buying shoes, our search, like I said, and that during our conversation, we've identified that there's internal searches that happens, and there's also an external search that can happen. Very often, if you have worn a particular shoe, let's stick with the running shoe, for instance. You used to a specific brand. I found it very difficult to change from my particular brand to another one because you get used to a particular style of shoe, especially in running. You would very much start with searching your memory based on the experience that you've had with a particular pair. Or you can be at the point, as we said, part of our need is that we need to replace it because our shoes were stolen or are broken. Or maybe there's new innovations and the next generation of a particular brand that came out, and you know what, that will be upgrade. So I'm almost in the market for upgrade. So let's rather upgrade because you will search your memory, and then if you're very happy with a particular brand, then you will continue with that brand. If you're unhappy, then you will be looking at a different brand. Okay, that's where your external search comes in, where commercials and all kinds of additional information on other options available is going to become part of your process of gathering information. Meeting the criteria that we've set ourselves. With the choices that we have, with the need that we've identified and the choices that we have made up to this point, I think we've concluded that pretty much budget is a very important criteria for us to consider. What did we eventually decide upon? A multi-purpose shoe that would look nice, that we can maybe train in, but then we can also maybe wear elsewhere. Excuse me?
What about the slop with the devil?
Yeah. I'm going to reserve a comment. Right. We continue to buy our shoes. We're going to buy now. Where are we going to buy? What's important when you do that final purchase? That's criteria. So you've already decided you're going to buy. Price is not an issue anymore. You're beyond that. We're now buying. Yes. How are you going to buy? Am I swiping my mother's credit card? Okay. Am I forking out cash? Probably not. Are you using the card that you can get the rewards? All the different options available. It happened to me yesterday. I was almost scammed yesterday. I stopped at this garage here in Footacre Road just to fill up some, because my fuel gauge, the light went on and says, you have to refill. I said, you know what? It's almost weekend. I'm not going away. I'm actually working the whole weekend. So I'm not going to fill it up. I'm just going to, 300 Rand, please, unleaded. Right? Start filling up cards. Okay, there's all my loyalty cards, Discovery, Vitality, and everything goes off, and everyone was happy. And then obviously the card to pay. Oh, so I made a mistake. Actually, oh, geez. You said, I said 300. Yes. Don't come with that to me. It's 727 Rand and 16 cents. I said, well, that's good because you have just paid for half my tank. No, but I said, no, it's not my problem. Sort it out. And I know that from friends who own garages, that's sometimes a scam that they pull. And then they pocket the difference. Okay. I said, no, I'm sorry. I've swiped for the 300 bucks. Hey, not my mistake. So yeah, be careful almost everywhere. I did not see that coming, but immediately when it happened, I realized, whoa, somebody's taking a chance here. Okay. Anyway. That's not going to happen when we buy shoes. But you know what? At the end of the day, we're swiping our cards. We want to make sure that the transaction is done. And the final step would actually be, let's get Sheldon back. The final step would then be obviously to indicate if we are satisfied or not. And most of us end up, or often end up with a condition that they call or refer to as a post-purchase dissonance. That's that doubt. Have have I made the right decision? Says, I know I was considering those two pairs. Maybe I should have gone for that one and not that one. It often happens. It usually happens if you don't feel 100% comfortable in your shoes. Yes. Finished in 2 minutes ago, yeah. I'm trying to steal the minutes I lost at the beginning. But I mean, it's not fair to you and it's not fair to the others. We'll resume again tomorrow. Remember, it's Friday timetable. So classes start early for that double period tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hang in there. It's a pleasure. Goodbye to those in Centurion as well. We'll chat again tomorrow, third period.